In the writing game, because I'm there, you know, by myself all the time. I spend a lot of time talking to people that don't exist, you know. So it's actually nice to be able to talk to real people. This is fun.
Thanks for coming. What are you doing over? Because you live in Chicago, don't you?
Yeah, I live in Chicago. I've been there for 6 years, and I've kind of I always come over at this time of year just to see family and friends and all that, primarily, and catch up, and to get the. You know, I usually go and see my publisher at this time if I've got a book coming out later on in the year. I usually go and see kind of film production people if we've got a film going into production at this time of the year. So basically do all that kind of business stuff that sets me up for the year.
What's the film? Can you say?
There's actually two. Hopefully we're going to, you know, we're in script development on two, maybe possibly even three next year, and hopefully kind of in 2016 they'll start to, you know, they should start to leave some kind of footprint, hopefully. I'm not going to tell you what they are, of course, though, because that's like...
So that's it. We'll be sitting in silence for about 20 minutes now. That bit, people ask, you know, what's going to be the line of questioning, and I never have a line of questioning. It's, I am a blank screen. So I came across you. We've never met before, but I think we've been in similar places where. Sometimes in Leeds, actually. I think I've seen you in Leeds once. You've got a history with Leeds. Yeah,
I have got a bit of a kind of Leeds history. And my friend Dean Kavanagh, who I do a lot of screenwriting with, he's actually from Bradford, so I don't know if I can't call that Leeds. He won't let me call it Leeds. So yeah, no, he's kind of.
It's like Leeds book shit. Sorry, Bradford.
But yeah, Dean and I kind of, we used to sort of sit and work in the arts cafe here, so I used to come up a lot to see him. He'd come down to London to see me when I lived in London. James was my first editor in London when he was was the editor of Loaded, and I did a column for Loaded, James Brown. Dave Beer, I don't know if Dave's here yet, but Dave's from Back to Basics, is an old friend of mine, and I used to come up to Basics, and you know, he would come down to London a lot, and actually I had a kind of strange, kind of wild time with him at the last Winter Music Conference in Miami, about kind of 10 years after the last time we kind of met up there. And we agreed, like, you know, we're not going to get fucked up again. It's kind of, we're too old, we can't do this anymore. And then like 3 days later, it was fantastic, because we were in this, we're in this kind of open air sort of small scale kind of rave thing, you know. And Dave's got this kind of very impenetrable Yorkshire accent. I've got a very impenetrable Scottish accent, especially after been drinking for 3 days, basically. And it was great that Dave was kind of trying to attract the attention of the waitress. And the waitress turned around to me and goes, "Gee, has he got Down syndrome?" And I say, "Yeah, he has, like, you know." And then I told him this, and he was absolutely enthralled by the idea. So he started playing up and kind of harassing her, and going, so she's giving him she's giving him free drinks and all that kind of stuff, thinking it was something, you know. So yeah, so that was the last time I kind of saw Dave. I spoke to him on the phone a couple of weeks ago. So I don't know if he is here, or is he supposed to be on his way, apparently.
We'd know if he was here.
You'd hear, yeah. And yeah, so that's also, I was up here working here for a couple of months back in the 90s. We did a play at the West Yorkshire Playhouse called You'll Have Had Your Hole. So I spent a bit of time up here working as well. So that's basically my kind of Leeds connections.
Why Chicago?
I don't know really. I mean, I kind of got it. My wife's American. She's from Chicago, and she kind of she's not that keen on going anywhere else, really. You know, I mean, Chicago people are they're very unlike kind of New York or LA people. They just love Chicago, you know, and they kind of they don't want to move, and you know, it's like to them it's this kind of well kept secret. They don't want to move. They don't necessarily want people to go there either. And I keep telling everybody, like, just stay on the plane for another hour and go to Chicago instead of New York, because it's half the price basically, or a third of the price even. You can stay for ages and it's got everything New York has got, you know. Basically they say it's like it's New York without the assholes. You know, so.
How do you fit in Chicago?
How do I fit in being an asshole? You mean?
That wasn't my line of questioning. However,
they've got to import a few, like, you know, to give it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of, you know, it's like when, you know, when I can go into a bar in Chicago and I can say to somebody that, you know, my wife doesn't understand me, and it's not a chat-up line, it's just purely descriptive, you know, because nobody understands a word I say there, you know, so it kind of works as well, you know, and it's very kind of, it's like, we had a few people round a few weeks ago for dinner, and one of my pals, Adam, really nice guy, and the wife said to me, "Look, you've really upset Adam. You have to stop calling him a cunt." And I'm going like, "But I mean it in a nice way, though, you know." But they don't kind of get that. Yeah, they don't really get that. You know, it's like you know, and it's like you know, it's like sort of. I mean, I was trying to explain to them that the only time that you never use the term cunt over in Britain is when you're describing a woman's vagina. You know, that's offensive. But for everything else, it's a generic kind of emphasis. You know, but so eventually, one or two of my pals are kind of are sort of getting that now. You know, they'll say like, they'll say, "Wow,
hey, Irvine, you cunts!
Yeah, you get up to the bar, you cunt! Hey, what a cunt of a day!" So they're starting to get into it now. You know, so it's my ambition to kind of colonize America with cunts, basically.
How's that working out? Is it?
Slowly.
What was that?
I'm just waiting for Obama to say anything.
Have you met him?
I've not, no. But who have I met that's... I've only met the mayor of Chicago. Like, he was a tiny wee guy, like.
Has he said cunt yet?
I've not got him to say cunt yet, you know, but I'm working on it.
So, in terms of this journey that you've had from that thing, the Trainspotting that blew up over 20 years ago now, I have this idea, and I don't know how correct it is, that Trainspotting came from observations and experiences and stories that you heard. How is it different now? How do you write books now? You know, where do they come from?
I think they kind of. I mean, it's very hard to say where anything comes from, really. And I think part of the kind of genius about fiction, the good thing about it, is that you never really know the genesis of it, and it's, you know, that makes it really interesting to me. You know, and it's like, and as a writer, you don't really, you know, if you write fiction, you don't really want to know where it comes from, because the last thing you want to be as a fiction writer is to be self-conscious about your processes, because if you are, you never write a sentence. Like, you know, if I kind of, I'll be typing away and, you know, I'll just go into this trance basically, and 30 pages later, there's all this stuff, and I thought, fucking hell, I can't publish this, like, my mother's going to read this, like, you know. So, but you have to kind of get past that, you know, and you know, it's like, and you never really know. I mean, I wrote I've written this, I wrote Trainspotting, was my first book, and, you know, in some ways it feels a very, very personal book. And the last book I wrote, Sex Lives of Siamese Twins, is kind of two young American female narrators. One is an artist and one's a fitness trainer. And I gave it to my wife to read, and she goes, "This is a book that's most like you. You know, these two characters are just you." You know? And I went, fuck, but one's a 30-year-old American fitness trainer, and the other one is like a 23-year-old American artist. She goes, no, these two characters are more like your personality, the amalgam of these two characters than any other characters you've ever written. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's interesting. I think everything you do when you're working in any kind of artistic endeavour, it's in some ways a representation of you, and in some ways a kind of twisted representation of you.
And how much is that creative expression? How is that? How much is that important to you? You know, I mean, is it your life, or because look, I follow you on Twitter, and you've got fucking millions of followers. Well, not millions, but you've got a lot, and you seem to be watching loads of sports, working on loads of projects. You know, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Twitter to me is like it's interesting that when I'm across here, I never really kind of go on it, or very rarely do I go on it. But over there, I'm on it all the time, and I think the reason for that is that it kind of takes away a lot of the kind of burden of exile. Really, you don't, you keep in contact with everybody, and you feel very much connected to the kind of all the different worlds that you've kind of lived through over here. You don't really feel like you've burnt your boats in a way that. So it's made it a lot easier for me. Like kind of social networks in general has made it a lot easier for me to kind of to live so far away. You know, I mean, I've always kind of lived. My other spells in America have been, but it's been like just for a year at a time, and when I've been over in Amsterdam or Dublin, you're still kind of an hour away from Edinburgh, an hour away from London, so you don't really feel like you've kind of gone that far. But being right across there does sometimes feel physically that you've gone quite a bit out of where you are, and I think where you're from, and Twitter in particular makes it easy because you can just bang off stuff. Yeah, I mean, I try and keep busy, and I think for me it's like I've got to do something creative, and I try to. I mean, the only things I was interested in doing as a kid was like kind of music, painting, and writing. That was the only things I had any interest in, and I was always terrible at music. I wasn't particularly skilled at kind of painting and drawing, so I just basically came to writing by default.
What was the genesis of getting writing for you?
I think it started off kind of messing around with music and realising that when I was playing with people in bands that I was always the first person that kind of got kicked out when everybody got to a level of proficiency, you know. And once this happens about 3 or 4 times, you kind of get the message that it's not really for you, you know. But what I did find was that when I wrote songs, I tended to write ballads, and that they had they were stories basically, you know. They had a kind of a very kind of strong narrative structure. So I thought, well, make that kind of make that into a kind of just actualize it and just do that. Just get on with writing stories.